Coach Bryan Moore Show. I'm Margaret Prater alongside Coach Bryan Moore, and we'd like to invite you to watch this every Wednesday on YouTube on the Hartsville Broadcast Channel. And then also, if you're not going to make it to the games, tune in on Friday nights to the NFHS Network to the live broadcast. And Coach, got to go through every week. We thank our sponsors: Life Church Agency on Main, Marmac Commercial Real Estate, Peck Funeral Home, Eddie Pruitt Ford, of course, the main sponsor of this show, Drake Eye Center, and Coleman Regional Hospital. All right, let's go back. It's been a couple of weeks. Let's start with Decatur.
Yeah.
You want to go through Decatur?
Sure.
And a little offense defense, a little playoff action, a little Bob Jones. We're going to mix it all up. Last week, what did you do first before Decatur? What did you do?
We had fall break.
Okay.
And it was a good couple of days. And then, we had a lot going on obviously leading up to that game, but thought we handled all that really well.
Okay. And then with Decatur, I meant like last week, the week before, but we'll get to that in a second. You're 9-0. You beat Decatur 41-14. It guarantees you the region championship. How big is that for you?
It's huge. It's the first time, I think. We talked a lot about history, making history with our team, and that was a historical deal. It's the first time in 6A we've been back-to-back region champs. And, we got an opportunity not to get ahead, but to be undefeated again. And I don't know how many back-to-back. I know there's been about 5 or 6 in school history.
Right.
And we'd have 2 of them in the last 2 years. So, that means a lot to us. I think the kids need to understand that, not to amplify the moment too much for them. But I think it's important to understand that, it's more than just, football for them. It's our city. It's our history. It's our, all the people that come back to, Coach Godsey and Coach Peck and all those guys that were involved in that, the state championship team in 11 and trying to sort of be on that course, and I think that's important. And Coach Newton and I talked with a lot of coaches over the last couple of weeks about, coaches throughout the state that are Hall of Fame guys. And, a lot of them said that, the history, you're making history, and something about that you need to explain to your kids, that they need to understand how big of a moment that it is.
It's not easy.
Right. No doubt. It's very difficult. And the kids have done it. I want to say that too. It's about them, and they've done a great job of every week handling business. I think somebody said last week we won 20-something straight regular season games. That's hard to do. Dating back to 2020, and that's about them and those guys and the leadership of those kids.
Well, and then offensively, let's go back to Decatur. You're pretty balanced. 212 yards passing, I think, 200 rushing.
Yep. And,
it looked like we matched up well with Decatur. What would you say about that offensive performance?
Yeah, pleased with that. They're good defensively. Their strength is their back end defensively. The 4 DBs that have been there what feels like forever, they're all really good players, and I'm glad they're all seniors. But they've got a good defensive football team, and they make it tough. And we had to, we didn't have any runs 10 plus. All our runs were 9 yards and under. But we still had a good average and ran for 200. We had no negative runs in the game, and I thought that was really important. I thought we handled business up front, didn't cut anybody loose. They had some explosive guys up front. The Duper kid, the linebacker, ran through, made a bunch of negative plays, and I thought we did a good job of handling that. And then our backs, taking care of the football. When you run it 30 plus times, to have don't put the ball on the ground and have no mesh issues. I thought that was really huge. And Jack pulled a couple, Landon pulled one late in the game that I thought were really good for us. And then we did hit our, we had the post corner route to Eli, he scored on, the same route to Isaiah where he went 70 plus and almost scored. That shows you the speed of that kid chasing him, doesn't it? But I thought we did a really good job of executing throughout the football game.
Well, you were talking about the strength for Decatur's defense with their DBs.
Right.
Jack had 2 picks.
Yep.
That's not usual for him. So what did they do differently, or did we just miss?
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was pretty effective most of the ball game overall. We didn't complete a high number, I think around 50%, but I know we've been higher, but they had a lot to do with that.
Right. Perfect answer to my question. A lot of young guys got in the game towards the end. Anybody you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think, first off, Landon coming in, he's not a young guy, but, getting some Q reps. Most every game he's gotten some reps in there. He's playing receiver, able to do that. Some young running backs got in. I think Jaden Morris may have gotten a carry late in that ball game. It was good to see Lincoln, do his thing again. The game feels like an eternity ago, doesn't it, with the bye week? But yeah, I was really, and then some of our young receivers had a series as well. Most of our games actually through the bye week, we went through games 1 through 9 scout and did some self-scout stuff and looking at some numbers and third down conversion rate and red zone work and all that kind of deal, and kind of looking for trends and things that are sticking out that we really need to improve on over a large body of work now. And I think for the most part, our young kids have played in, I think, 7 of the 9 ball games. I think that's huge, that we've been able to get those guys experience, because that's huge going forward, exactly. With those guys.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show. I'm here with our player of the game, Walker Hoyle. And Walker, I'm just going to start out and tell you, Peyton set the bar right here for my interview. Best interview I've had. It's all on you right now. So I'm expecting you to bring it, because you were one of my best interviews last year. So favorite moment of the season thus far. And it doesn't have to be a ball game. It can be practice, whatever you want to go with.
I think it's definitely a ball game. I'm going to have to say probably Muscle Shoals this year. After the game, just the feeling. It was pretty nice. It was just a little bit different because it was our first super close game.
Yeah.
And I felt the defense stepped up, because last year we really struggled with Muscle Shoals, and I think we rallied together really well, made some key stops at the beginning and towards the end. And so after the game was over, it just kind of was a relief. We got out of there alive, and it was really good for us to have to battle something like that.
Well, I'm gonna go off script here then. Defense seems to be playing with a little bit more intensity this year.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are making more big plays, more turnovers. What's changed?
Well, obviously the Coach Newton effect, him being back. That's no diss to Coach Pale. He's a really good coach, but he's young. He'll make his way up there in the ranks. But, yeah, Coach Newton's just a defensive genius, and he brings a different intensity to practice, and he knows just everything there is in
exactly what y'all are looking for. Oh, you see Coach Newton. Okay, then I want to ask you about your sister. This was my surprise question. She's playing for a state championship, possibly Thursday. What have you learned from watching her play and her work ethic being at the top of her sport right now?
I'm really proud of her. She's on varsity in both sports she plays. Something as a sophomore, something that I did not accomplish. So I'm really proud of her. She really does work hard. And, yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Your mom's watching, so you better build sis up.
That's right.
Okay. All right. What sport would you play if you couldn't play football?
If I couldn't play football, I'll play baseball, but I'd play golf.
Okay,
if I could add another sport to the
thing,
I'd
play baseball
golf.
Too?
Right.
Okay. See how much I pay attention, but I'll talk about baseball when it's baseball season. Favorite part of practice?
Third down period on Tuesday.
And what do you do during third down period on Tuesday?
It's usually like third and a certain distance, and you have like 6 plays, so you get to compete against the offense ones-on-ones to see who gets dessert that week. Not a big dessert guy, but I like competing.
I've had the dessert answer earlier this season, so
I mean, it's definitely the most intense part of practice.
Okay. Well, now we know what the way to get you guys motivated, right? Just offer you sweets. Okay. We've seen a lot of improvement from a lot of guys. I used to ask who are we going to look at the end of the season, but we are at the end of the season. So look back at July and where you are now. Who's that guy that's made the biggest change, the most growth, most improvement? Who's the guy that you're looking at going, dang, they really did a good job this year?
Definitely Drake or Dylan.
Okay.
Oh, no, Dalton. Dylan and Dalton, actually.
All right, that's the Green brothers. And then Drake Borden.
Drake, yeah. He's really filled into the corner spot well as like a solid starter. I'm glad. I'm proud of him. He filled it really well, and he's done a really good job. And Dylan and Dalton have both gotten stronger and smarter, and they've filled their role way better, and they make a huge difference down there that not a lot of people really recognize. But, yeah, they're a big part of our defense.
Well, speaking of good jobs, you've done a great one, and I appreciate you coming out of class and talking to me for a minute, and we'll be right back. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show.
I'm Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, and I'm here to tell you about the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience. The versatility of the Big Green Egg is unmatched. It delivers big results as a grill, a smoker, and even an outdoor oven. Grill burgers, kebabs, steaks at 800 degrees, slow smoke a perfect slab of ribs, and even bake a crispy pizza. When the doctor cooks, I demand the best, and that's why I cook on the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience.
All right, we're back with the Coach Bryan Moore Show. Got a new guest here for defensive questions, Coach Burt Newton. Coach, glad to have you. First stat, just right off the bat from the Decatur game that stood out to me was 13 tackles for a loss. What can you say about the execution your guys had of the game plan?
I would say that in the box, our defensive line and stack linebackers played really, really strong. They had no big runs. Most of their big plays came off of quarterback scrambling, and he would go backwards, which is odd. You teach him not to do that. But he would do it, and he was good enough to get out of trouble and extend some plays like that. But Dalton Green had a heck of a game. He dominated the nose man and played B gap to B gap, but everybody did up front. They had a really good game up front, and when you make the team one-dimensional, they have to throw it. Then we can play into that.
That's awesome. Two guys led you in tackles. That's Jake Haynes and Caden Worley. What can you say about their performances?
Jake's getting better and better every week. I still thought his best game was the week before at Athens, but I sat in a meeting with Coach Holly today, and he did a heck of a job of telling Jake what he did well, but then also correcting him on things he can get better at. And Jake's the kind of kid that's going to do that. Caden, everybody that plays us wants to run it weak into the boundaries, and that's where Caden and Walker Horrell are going to be. And they're not huge weight room guys or whatever, but guess what? They make plays. And so if they want to feed into that, hey, those are two legit old school Hartselle kids that just do everything right. And so, okay, come on. Well,
that's who my next question's about, because he's our player of the game. We got Walker Horrell. He's probably going to rule the world one day. He's already told me he's going to run an airport. So that was, he's going into aviation management. But aside from that, he likes to play a little football, a little baseball. So what can you say about him and his leadership? And we did have a little chuckle, probably shouldn't have, but about his calls against his intensity, I guess is a good way to say it. His personal fouls this year, a little out of character.
And that's something that's been addressed in our character ed this morning and tomorrow as well is going to address it again. We can't do that. But I will say this. The guys that have gotten personal fouls for us have not been cheap shots. They've been stupid, but it's because they're so passionate. and that would make them great players. And so, do we get mad? Of course we do. And, Walker, I saw him at I moved up there this summer, and I saw him at a Mexican restaurant. It's the first time we'd gone out as a family. And he basically made a comment like, hey, nice daughter. And I said, Walker, I will cut you. And my wife said, you can't talk to him like that. And then my son, who happened to be with us, he's in 8th grade, and playing for Coach Gladden and having a great experience there. But he happened to be with us as well, and he went to the UAB 7-on-7. And Walker basically talked back to me about a coverage and got all of me. And he's like, Mom, that's nothing. So my point is, Walker can take that and is great with it. And like I said, he's so passionate about us what we're doing that it happens. But we're going to eliminate it from here on out, hopefully.
Well, and you want to talk about one of the greatest things that I've read a lot of articles about coaching is you want a coachable kid.
Yes.
That's more important sometimes than the exceptional talent is to have somebody that's coachable and will take direction. Things like Walker.
No doubt. And every one of our kids on defense is like that. I mean, to a man, they've really sucked in the coaching, and we got great assistant coaches on defense. I remember, everyone has to, the head coach, like Coach Gotsey, we have the best staff in the state. He always said at the parent meeting, I've been on better. But this one, as far as defensively especially, and I think offense is great too, but it's the best staff I've ever been on. I've been on some good ones. And it is by far the best one I've ever been on.
That's awesome. All right, I'm going to switch back to little freshman play. We've seen Cole Miles get in. Mm-hmm. At the end of some games. Yep. He gets a pick. I watched the sideline. I mean, game's already decided. Sideline goes crazy.
Right.
What can you say about that?
I think that they know that Cole's going to be really, really good, and we've, on purpose, let him go through the freshman season, kind of be the leader of that defense, knowing that we could throw him in earlier, but we haven't because we wanted to have that experience with the freshmen and have that group stay together. But as it goes on, especially in passing downs, he's so fast and long, and just I don't know, some guys just make plays. And the older kids know that, and like, I mean, he's done it the right way and so of course, you know, I remember like Peyton Stellick lifted him up like they won the Super Bowl, and which is great when your older kids are loving on your young kids and understand that they're learning how to do it right. And hopefully, like I said, especially in passing down situations, Cole's going to play more and more for us going forward in the playoffs, and that alleviates pressure off. You know, giving less snaps means, you know, we're not as tired. So he's done a great job, and that whole freshman bunch has been really, really good.
Thank you. You've done a great job today.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show. Back with the Coach Bryan Moore Show. Coach, I made a mistake at the beginning of the show because I was going to talk about the bye week, but I'm a creature of habit, routine. We've been out of it for a couple of weeks,
right.
A little rusty.
Right.
So let's start with, first off, what did you guys do during the bye week?
Yeah, so we Monday and Tuesday we practiced and had real physical practices. I believe that late, especially, that you got to get a couple of those if you can. You know, especially through the bye week where we had some competition stuff. A lot of guys were live. To the point where the coaches were like, "You're letting it go a little bit longer." You know, I'm the one that controls the whistle at practice, and but I think it's important. You know, that you still block and tackle late in the season. You execute those kinds of things. We did a lot of red zone work, end of the game work. You know, situational stuff that people don't think about. Those unforeseen kind of special team scenarios that just pop up here and there, kind of like our Muscle Shoals deal that we talked about with the Dana McCutcheon question of the week. You know,
That's right.
Some of that stuff, you know, that we aren't able to practice, you know, every week just because of limitation on time. You know, we were able to do that through the bye week. And then Wednesday, we took the seniors to Top Golf. You know, I told them, you know, we'll surprise you. And, you know, and then the rule was when we got to Top Golf, we rented 6 of those bays, you know, and but a coach had to be in every group. So we had to bust it up and make the coaches, thanks to Life Church for the bus. And anyway, the coaches got together and played with them, and we're not very good at golf, and neither are our players. You know, we're playing the correct sport here. But we had a lot of fun, you know, and that's what it's all about. You know, it's about, I think this time of year, one of the things that we got, I mentioned talking to those coaches, is about wanting to still be here. You know, I know for the fans, that sounds like a, you know, you're 9-0 or you're regional champs. It is, man. And we've been doing this since like April, you know, and so people need to understand that we did it at 6 a.m. all through the summer, and to get to fall camp, and then to go through 9 weeks. And, you know, sometimes kids are hearing the basketball bounce, you know, and they're starting to figure out, you know, hey, it's going to be 30 degrees at a ball game. Do I want to go do that? And I think our kids do, but that's something to be cognizant of as coaches, to make sure that our guys want to continue to play and care about each other. You know, that they, again, it does get old, and especially for your young guys. And so we're really conscious about, you know, those guys in their second sports and that kind of stuff when they're freshmen especially. But I think that's important. I think things like going to Top Golf, you know, and being together, I think make a huge difference at the end.
Well, and, you know, you were talking about the grind and all that. So what did you guys do to help with recovery?
Well, we took 3 days. I mean, so we had really Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. So 5 days, and then we brought them in Sunday to lift, and they were really fresh. You know, I can tell kind of like when I talk to them in character ed how locked in they are on me. You know, if they look tired or they're sort of daydreaming, I know that they're fatigued. And our strength coach, Jared Holly, can tell it too. Like, you know, when they approach the flex part before we work out, you know, are they moving around fast, or are they sore? And you can tell it. And so I think the bye week couldn't have come at a better time, but we look really fresh, and everybody's locked in, seems ready to go.
That's good to see. Okay, I got one more question. You inherited this team in 2020 in the spring, freshmen. Okay, these kids were freshmen, your seniors are.
Yep.
During a pandemic.
Yep. What
can you say about that growth that you've seen with those kids? Strength, maturity-wise, game knowledge. Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, you know, when I first got here, you know, we had 7 weeks and then had COVID, and we're out 3 months, and then came back June 1, and it was just a mess. I mean, I can always tell. So I went out, and, you know, kids were coming in, we're having to test them and all that kind of stuff, or you know, use the thermometer or not, whatever. Anyway, and we're checking for fevers and everything. I look out in the parking lot that morning, and there's like 10 cars there, but we got 100 kids here. So it tells me nobody's driving. You know what I mean? Everybody's mama had to bring them to practice, and they're just little. I mean, they weren't that Austin game, we threw them out there, the 2020, they weren't ready for that game. I mean, there was no way to accelerate their growth. They had to go through the fires and trials, and they did, and really, for me, the turning point with those kids, as young as they were, was the Coleman game in 20. We did not play well in the first half, and I went in there and, kind of got after them pretty good at halftime, and then we came out and played really well, scored 20 points in the second half, and I can vividly remember that being sort of a turning point for us to realize, hey, this is not going to be easy. We're going to have to fight. We can't go out here and do this, and then we got better. And from that point forward, we got beat by Athens that year, but had a great finish to the season.
Yeah.
Went down to Briarwood and had a chance to win and played hard and fought them. And that's all we asked for, play hard. Just like going through and playing Gardendale last year. We wanted to win that ball game, but we fought and played to the end of the ball game and competed our tails off, and just didn't happen. But we've seen progress over the years, and, I'm proud of the kids. I mean, again, for them to survive at the beginning and get to this point, it's the fruits of their labor. It's good to see, for sure.
They got to be a special group.
They are. And there's 18 of them, and most all of them have been here since the beginning, that have been through that. And again, it's so nice to see them, have the courage to get through and then to find the success they've had at the end.
All right. Thanks, Coach. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jenny Tankersley.
I'm Dwight Tankersley.
And I'm Jane Hampton, and we're your agency on Main. Local realtors here to serve you. One of our team members will be more than happy to find you that perfect home. Go Tigers!
All right, we're back. Coach Moore back with me to talk about our upcoming opponent, Bob Jones. Coach, you face a 5-4 Bob Jones team. They come off a big win at Albertville, but it's senior night, and that these guys are wanting to go 10-0 regular season.
Right.
Motivation shouldn't be a problem. What can you tell us about Bob Jones? What are we looking for? We know that they always have athletes.
Yeah, for
Getting
sure.
them all on the same page sometimes has not been their forte.
Well, they're on the same page right now. They've played better as of late. Started the first game of the year that we went and saw with Muscle Shoals, and Muscle Shoals wore them out. But that's not the same Bob Jones team. They do a really good job. Their quarterback is extremely dynamic. He's the best we've seen as far as that. He gets out in space, it's over. And there are games where he's thrown it 20 times and rushed 30 times. I mean, he's going to touch it all the time. He is extremely explosive, and what you've seen from them is their offensive line get better. He's still got a real big running back. The unique thing about him is he can play fullback and running back, so they can be an empty with him as the fullback and run true gap schemes that we run, or he can be the running back and they can run zone read. So it's a unique challenge, and I think it's good. I mean, the point of scheduling Bob Jones obviously was big crowd, and it's a close game, easy game both ways. They're a really good team that'll challenge us, but they had this quarterback that is so dynamic that we needed to see prior to the playoffs. It's another sort of strategic, game for us as far as how we prepared. And guys, we've seen just about everything, and he's, I think, kind of the last piece. Even though Muscle Shoals had a kid that could score from distance, we've seen some others that have. Obviously, Decatur's quarterback is a really good player. Dickman does a great job of scrambling and finding things. So we've seen a lot defensively, but again, that was the point of the scheduling.
Well, and Gardendale has a dynamic quarterback,
Right.
and if things end up the way they could, you might get to see him.
No doubt.
Speaking of Gardendale playoffs, let's talk really quick. I know you don't like to look way down.
Yep.
All right, so we know that Buckhorn's going to be our first round opponent at home.
Yep.
And my question for you is about the bracket.
Yep.
Curiosity, how do they determine who gets to stay at home and who travels? It used to be whoever was on the top side of the bracket, but then it was equidistant. That
Right.
I've heard both. So what's going on?
Well, if you're a higher seed and travel is equal, then you host. So like the first two rounds, if we can get there, hopefully, the first two rounds would be at home.
Okay.
The third round would very likely be on the road because we're on the bottom of that part of the bracket. So the top and bottom still does play. The good news is, if we were able to continue playing, that we're on the top towards the end. So we could possibly, in a perfect world, host 3 or 4, which would be
Wow.
great, obviously, but there's so much left,
When you got to win too.
You do, and you got to play really good teams. I mean, all the way through, we're going to have to play good teams. And, 6A football is very even throughout. I mean, if you look at it, 7A has got some big differences. There are certain regions that are a lot better, but with us, with 6A, there are some real our region, I think I looked the other day, record-wise, both in region, out of region, I think we're up there with anybody that we've done. I think our region has gotten better as far as who they're playing out of region. I mean, you look at us going to play Gaston City and Oxford.
Right.
All 5 of our out of region opponents are playoff teams.
That's wonderful.
2 of them are region champions.
Says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that going in, and it's probably even better than expected, to be honest. But yeah, so it's cool to do that. It's cool to go through. That out-of-region play and sort of the cross-match stuff, but you try not to look too far ahead and really look at Bob Jones and then next week the Buckhorn.
Okay, and we'll be right back with the Dana McCutcheon Fan Question of the Week, and we have a special guest. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with the Coach Bryan Moore Show. Got a special guest here in Dana McCutcheon. You guys know Coach Bryan Moore. Coach, we've always had the Eddie Pruitt Ford Fan Question of the Week. Now, I haven't always let on until this season that we usually have a singular source for that question.
That's right.
And that source, has been known to be a great vocal supporter of your team.
No doubt.
Good and bad times. And vocal, let's say it one more time, vocal supporter. So we wanted to have her here today to ask her question. So I'm going to step back and let you guys have at it.
Well, Coach, at the first of the season, I was pumped about our schedule. I thought you had brought in some tougher teams that would make us better because I love being 10-0, but I want to be 15-0.
No doubt.
Okay? So as we prepare for Buckhorn, I thought, man, we've got a great schedule to do that. Kind of thought 3 of those games that would be really close, and we might not come out on the winning side of it, but that was okay. We've gone through a season. You have cremated everybody we've played but one. I'm very thankful for. So what has that season done for us to make us ready? And I know you don't like to go into playoffs, but to be ready for Buckhorn, what does that do for us?
Well, I think, it's been a lot of different ways of winning. I think, besides Muscle Shoals, like you mentioned, we've handled business pretty well. But it's just been so different. For example, Gaston City, 16-0 at halftime. We struggle on offense. Defense comes out and just plays a great ball game. You look at some games like Oxford. That was really all 3 phases, but special teams were unbelievable. 2 special teams touchdowns, a block punt. Those 2 field goals from Crawford, like he played really, really well. I think that's been the key, is that it's not just one way win. Last year, it was offensive firepower and let's score 50 and here we go. And now, Coach Newton and his staff's done such a great job. John David Atkins with our special teams done such a great job, and our kids executing those plans. I think we're so much more balanced and ready to win in so many different ways in the playoffs compared to last year. It's not even close.
I totally agree. Totally agree with that statement. But I want to see us in the second round, and I would like to see the matchup with us in Mountain Brook. Watch them Friday night. Almost a mirror to us.
Yeah, very similar.
So if you would win by 50 Friday night, I'll take a touchdown against Buckhorn. I don't care how we win, but I'd like for you to cremate Mountain Brook, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Well, hey, can I say this, Ms. Dana?
Yes,
Thank
you
you
can.
for your support. I appreciate it.
You're
And the
welcome.
community, all you guys in the crowd getting us going right there. I wear the one head earpiece right there for my headset so I can hear Miss Dana on the
Okay,
other
good.
side.
I'm glad.
right there.
I'm glad.
Yeah, it
I'm
gets
glad
me
to hear
going every
that.
week. So thank you
You
guys.
need to know that I will be glad to get the cheerleaders megaphone because, by George, if you're coming to a football game, be in it. Enjoy. You can socialize at halftime and when it's over, but not during the football game.
That's right. Thank you, Miss Dana.
You're
for coming on.
welcome. Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so glad you're here. We'll be right back with our play of the week. You're watching the Coach Bryan Moore Show.
We at Eddie Pruitt Ford are so excited about another great year of Friday Night Lights and Hartsville football. Go Tigers!
All right, this week's play of the game by the player of the game is Walker Hull. Walker at times drives me crazy about lining up late, but he's doing some of this on purpose. He does a great job of spinning down late. Actually, Ellis Dickman checked to this, okay, with the big receiver right there that had given us trouble, and Walker kind of baits him in. You can see him right here, and I'll show from the drone here in just a second. It's 3rd and short. They were just going to steal the first down right there. Walker spins down late. He's trying to hold his grass right there, ends up spinning down and jumping in front of it. And then from the drone, I thought it was pretty cool. You can see him here late in the play, jumps it, and then we We got to finish in the end zone right here. But great play by Walker, and I thought it was a turning point in the football game.
We at Eddie Pruitt Ford are so excited about another great year of Friday Night Lights and Hartsville football. Go Tigers!